Emma Parker never believed in blind dates, especially after years of balancing a demanding job as a teacher and looking after her younger sister, who depended on her since their parents passed away. She didn't have the time, or the patience, for awkward dinners with strangers who only wanted small talk. Yet, her friends had other plans. Tired of seeing Emma sacrifice her own happiness for everyone else, they conspired to set her up as a joke. They whispered that the man waiting for her would probably be a disaster, someone she'd walk away from in less than 10 minutes. But they didn't tell Emma that. They only convinced her that it was harmless fun, a night out to break the routine, and maybe even a chance to laugh at the experience later. Reluctantly, Emma put on her simplest dress, tucked her hair into a loose bun, and promised herself she'd leave after dessert. What she didn't know was that the man waiting at the candlelit table wasn't some careless prank. He was Daniel Hayes. A single dad, a respected CEO, and someone who had walked through his own storms. Daniel wasn't expecting much either. In fact, he agreed to the evening only because his daughter insisted he deserved happiness. So, there they were, two strangers from different worlds, brought together by what seemed like a joke but was about to change both of their lives in ways they could never have imagined. When Emma first walked into the restaurant, her eyes scanned the tables nervously, searching for someone who looked equally uncomfortable. But instead, she noticed a tall man with kind eyes standing up politely as soon as he saw her. Daniel, dressed in a simple button-down shirt rather than the sharp suit one might expect from a CEO, greeted her with a warmth that immediately disarmed her tension. "You must be Emma," he said, pulling out her chair. His voice carried the gentleness of someone who had learned patience the hard way. Emma sat down, still skeptical, wondering what kind of trick her friends had pulled. Yet, as they began to talk, she realized Daniel wasn't just polite, he was genuinely interested in her words. He asked about her students, her dreams, even the challenges of raising her sister. Unlike most men she had met, he wasn't trying to impress her with his achievements. He listened. Halfway through the evening, a small voice interrupted their laughter. A little girl in a pink dress came running to the table, clutching a crayon drawing. "Daddy, look," she said proudly. Emma blinked, stunned by the sudden revelation. Daniel smiled, lifted his daughter onto his lap, and introduced her as Lily. In that moment, Emma saw not a powerful CEO, but a father who adored his child. What was supposed to be a joke was turning into the most real and heartfelt connection she had ever experienced. For the first time in years, Emma felt her guarded heart begin to soften. Dinner unfolded with an ease Emma had not expected. Daniel wasn't boastful about his position, and Emma still had no idea he was the CEO of a major company. To her, he was simply a man who cherished his daughter and spoke with sincerity. Lily, with her boundless energy, quickly won Emma's heart. She showed Emma her crayon masterpiece, a family picture that surprisingly included a woman with long brown hair. Embarrassed, Daniel tried to take it away, but Emma laughed softly, assuring Lily it was beautiful. The little girl beamed, declaring, "She looks like you." The comment made Emma blush, but deep inside, something shifted. She realized Lily saw her as more than just a stranger at dinner, she saw someone who could belong. Between bites of pasta and bursts of laughter, Emma found herself letting go of the walls she had built over the years. She shared her fears of never being enough, of always carrying responsibility without anyone to lean on. Daniel listened, not with pity, but with quiet understanding. He admitted his own struggles, navigating life as a single dad after losing his wife, balancing endless board meetings with bedtime stories. By the time dessert arrived, Emma wasn't thinking about leaving early anymore. She was lost in a moment she never thought she'd find, two people and a child filling a table with genuine connection, vulnerability, and hope. What started as a cruel setup by her friends was turning into something far deeper than a joke. As the evening stretched longer than either of them anticipated, Emma excused herself briefly, her mind whirling. She had come prepared to roll her eyes at an awkward stranger, but instead she found herself captivated by Daniel's humility and touched by Lily's innocent warmth. When she returned to the table, she noticed Daniel nervously fiddling with something in his jacket pocket. Before she could ask, Lily piped up, "Daddy, did you bring it?" Daniel's face turned red, and he gave his daughter a playful but helpless look. Emma tilted her head curiously, wondering what secret father and daughter were keeping. With a deep breath, Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's heart stopped. Surely, this wasn't what it looked like. They had just met. But Daniel wasn't smiling like a man playing a joke. His expression was steady, vulnerable, and full of sincerity. He opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring. "Emma," he said softly, "I know this is sudden, but life has taught me not to waste chances. Tonight feels like something rare, something real. I don't want to let it slip away." The restaurant fell silent, every nearby diner frozen in shock. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to protest, to say it was too soon, but the honesty in Daniel's eyes and the hope in Lily's smile made her pause. For the first time in her life, Emma felt the world urging her to trust the impossible. Emma's pulse raced as every eye in the restaurant seemed fixed on her. A proposal from a man she had only just met sounded absurd, reckless, even laughable, but the moment didn't feel like a joke. Daniel wasn't offering her a fairy tale wrapped in glitter. He was offering his truth, raw and unpolished. His trembling hands told her he wasn't sure of her answer, and Lily's hopeful eyes told her this wasn't just about romance, it was about family. Emma thought of all the years she had spent pushing love aside, believing it was a luxury she couldn't afford. She thought of her sister, who always urged her not to give up on happiness. And now here was a man, brave enough to risk rejection, simply because he believed in what they had shared in a few short hours. Emma leaned forward, her voice quiet but steady. "Daniel," she began, this is crazy." A ripple of nervous laughter passed through the room. Daniel nodded, acknowledging the truth, but didn't close the box. "It is," he admitted. "But so is life. And sometimes the craziest choices are the ones worth making." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. She didn't know if she could promise forever, not yet, but she could promise honesty. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand gently over his. "I can't say yes tonight," she whispered, "but I can promise I won't walk away. Let's see where this takes us." The crowd erupted in warm applause, and Daniel's smile was brighter than the candlelight flickering between them. The weeks that followed were nothing short of transformative. What began as an unexpected blind date grew into a journey of trust, laughter, and healing. Emma quickly became a part of Lily's world, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, and discovering that love could be found not in grand gestures but in the small, ordinary moments of care. Daniel, in turn, showed Emma a kind of partnership she had never known. One where her burdens didn't feel so heavy, where someone finally stood beside her instead of watching from afar. Slowly, Emma's walls crumbled, not because Daniel demanded it, but because he earned it with patience and consistency. And though the ring stayed safely tucked away, its presence was a reminder, not of a rushed proposal, but of a promise waiting for the right time. Months later, on a quiet evening in the park, Lily tugged Emma's hand and whispered, "Daddy still has the ring." Emma smiled, her heart swelling as she looked at Daniel, who was watching them with that same steady sincerity. She realized then that love doesn't always follow a perfect timeline. Sometimes, it comes crashing in through unexpected doors, rewriting every plan you thought you had. What started as a blind date joke had become the most profound gift of her life, a family she never dared to imagine. Emma leaned into Daniel, her voice filled with gratitude. "I think I'm finally ready for crazy," she whispered. And in that moment, surrounded